Hey, everybody, welcome back. BS session 47. Tonight is brought to you by the letters E, M, and P.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, Ballistically Speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.
I've got balls of steel. I've got balls of steel.
Things never work right. All right, let's just jump right into this. Ballistically Speaking Podcast, as always, brought to you by EM Precision Rifles. Commission a build today at emprifles.ca. Bolt Action Coffee. Order coffee and merchandise at boltactioncoffee.com. Callsign 66. Book a course now at callsign66.ca. Odell Engineering. Find them at odellengineeringltd.com. Apex Optics. Find them at apexoptics.co. Ribstone Gunsmithing. ribstonegunsmithing.ca. On the Shooting Edge in Calgary, Alberta. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and their website at theshootingedge.com. March Scopes Canada. Find Doug and Niza at marchscopes.ca. And we've got one other announcement I was asked to pass along by Oscar at Ribstone Gunsmithing. He's got a local friend there. I think it's his father-in-law or faux father-in-law, whatever you want to say, his girlfriend's father. Has a small gun shop that he's opening, Echo Outdoors, in Castor, Alberta. They'll be hosting their grand opening barbecue this Saturday, June 24th, located on Main Street, Castor. From hunting, fishing, and camping, they have what you need to make the outdoor experience feel more like an adventure. Stop by and shoot your shot at one of many door prizes. Great in-store sales, followed by 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. supper, serving burgers, hot dogs, and smoked brisket. I think I got it all.
That sounds
and
good.
Oscar will be there. Oscar with Ribstone Gunsmithing will be there with his beautiful smile, and he can tell you all about the wonderful stuff that he does to just about any firearm for you. Vanya with Apex Optics just texted me, called me old balls. Thanks a lot, Vanya.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong. That's all right. We'll try and keep that to a dull roar. Hey, everybody, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad Steve is here with EM Precision Rifles. What's new with Steve other than working like a dog at 3 different jobs?
Well,
out playing in the dirt.
What's that?
Out playing in the dirt today.
Yeah, we moved a lot of dirt, but I ordered a new lathe last October, and it finally showed up last week. So the shop's been kind of half-ass shut down, trying to get caught up. So
right.
We got it installed. We got new lights up. Now it's just reorganizing everything, trying to make it all fit and work. You've been here, you know there's not a lot of room.
No, it's pretty tight in there. Thanks for the help there, Jonathan.
Still younger than Kurt.
Yes. Yeah. So where did you fit that new lathe anyways? So I know the old one the original one is right behind you to your right, correct?
Yeah. So what we did is we turned the bench sideways and we put it in the middle of the floor. So that helped a lot, and it actually makes it feel like there's a lot more room in the shop now. So
is that right? So you didn't turn them face to face so you could spray your partner with chips, did you?
Well, initially that's the way we were going to do it, and then I was like, "Holy fuck!" Then I got to move power and everything, and I was like, this just seems simpler, and made up a
Yeah.
drawing, and it fits. So I was like, "That's the way it's going to be."
Yeah, it doesn't look terrible in there.
No, you'll have to come down and try it. I think you'll like it a lot better than the old setup.
Cool beans.
We'll get you
All
on
right.
that new
Well,
lathe.
yeah. Yeah, I'll be the first to crash the tool post into the forge.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it.
Well, I'm sure it'll happen. It happens to almost every machines at one
Yeah.
point or another.
For sure.
Hit the lead screw rather than the feed on the apron. And I
I
mean,
didn't want to go that way.
what was that?
I said I didn't want it to go that way.
Exactly. How's business been lately? You're now you've got an extra machine there. Now you have to ramp up some business to pay for that sucker.
Yeah, it's busy as ever. Like we
Yeah.
saw a little bit of a lull, like right around probably February, March this year, but it's picked back
Right.
up. Guys are calling in, and now it's just waiting game for parts and barrels. So
And how's that supply been lately?
it's been slowing down a little bit, but
Is that right?
I think it just speaks to the volume that they're putting out. So we're always looking for more. So
Yeah, you bet. Any word on what the action and barrel makers are seeing for supply? Like everybody's experiencing uh, uh, sort of demand. I'm not going to say crises, but a decrease in availability of materials like raw materials, right?
yeah, I'm not sure about that. Like I don't interact with the vendors. That's always Shane.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but like I say, like it seems like there's a steady supply. It's just slowed down, and I think it's just the volume that everybody's trying to put out. So I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's kind of I've thought about this for several years now. With the way things are going, especially in Canada, with the cost of everything going up.
Yeah.
A lot of people are trimming back on some of the more superfluous type things. The unneeded stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the whole rifle and ammunition thing is not really slowing down a whole lot. Like the demand is still very high.
Well, I think it speaks to the mindset of the people and just a level of preparedness that everybody wants to have. I mean, I seen primers come back a little bit, and I'll bet you if they didn't have 10 million of them, they're gone.
Yeah, isn't that something? Hey.
Yeah.
It's that large rifle primer thing is still kind of a bear, isn't it? I'm seeing small rifle primer sort of trickle in, but mind you, I don't have my finger on the pulse either. I have enough for my needs for a season or two.
Yeah.
So I'm not watching every shop all the time like some guys are sort of forced to do.
Well, I think we've been around and we've dealt with this 3 or 4 times or 5 times now. So we both have a supply to make sure that we've got enough to keep us busy.
Yeah, tried for sure. Yeah. That you could always use more. It never seems to be enough,
and they never go bad, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, unless you're really goofy and store your stuff in a root cellar or some stinking thing. I'm sure it'll be fine in there. The potatoes are good.
Yeah.
So back to your machine. What lathe is that?
So it's a Precision Matthews 1440 GT. Okay. So it's kind of set up as a gunsmith special kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot larger spindle on it, and it's from Taiwan, so it's really precise. Right. I've been very happy with the other one, so I might as well get a second one, and I added a taper attachment to this one.
Okay.
And I went full on and bought a way better DRO. So hopefully get it going here soon, and I can try it out and see if it's a little bit more accurate than the other one.
Right. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Oh my God. I'd like to not rig in my trailer and remember I forgot to get water next time I come out, because this is now 3 in a row. Without Steve to organize my life, it falls apart.
I was going to say there seems to be a common denominator here.
That's right.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
Say that again, Shane.
I said, how are you guys doing?
Good.
I'm all right. I'm currently very sick of work right now. I was just telling Steve before we got on that 2 weeks ago when we went to Nose Hills, it kind of reignited my shooting enthusiasm. My brain's been so filled with work and the farm and house repairs and all that horse shit that I haven't really thought about shooting a whole hell of a lot. And we got out to Nose Hills and did a bunch of good stuff with some great men, and it reignited things for me. And now I'm like, fuck, I don't want to be here at all. 2 weeks away from anything resembling a firearm.
Yeah. No, Rob Frericks posted up a bunch of pictures of that trip. It looked like it was a really good time.
It was great, man.
I would have got more hits there than I did at the match.
Yes, right. I guess you were dealing with a hell of a pile of smoke down there, weren't you?
It was smoky, but I mean, I placed where I placed because I'm shitty, not because of the smoke. It is what it is. But this is the match for Kerri to beat me. She was only 4 points behind me at the last match.
No kidding. Good for her.
So we're going to make her start going in front of me so I can use her dope instead of her using our dope.
Yukai Kazi, it's funny as hell. Somebody texted me today, and this is pretty much exactly what I texted back. It was, just another day older and deeper in debt.
Great.
How my soul to the company stole. Anyhow, so Steve and I were just talking about the new equipment in the shop and some of the supply you guys are dealing with. From your perspective, Shane, what are you seeing out there? It seems like orders are still kind of up there. You got a dozen or two names on the board in the shop there, I imagine.
We always run a kind of a schedule of about 40. Like Steve normally only updates 15, just so he knows it's on top priority, right? But half the time we're waiting on stuff. Right now, I would say the tough part has been carbon barrels. I mean, I'm not knocking IBI by any means, but they're up to 14 to 16 weeks on delivery. Lightweight stocks. I mean, AG Composites quoted me, I think 15 weeks on the last one. And I just got a shipping notification today, which means it missed our export. And it's pushing like 5 months, right? So some of the stuff is taking a long time. Brux barrels, like if anybody's ordering those, it was like 6 months on our last couple. So I think it's the normal gun business lead time stuff, right? I mean, week actions and stuff fairly regular.
Yeah, that doesn't seem too way out of the ordinary. Like you think back 3.5 years ago, and those times are not far beyond what it was back then, is it?
No, not really. I mean, it just comes down to managing the logistics of it all, right? Like, I'm sure there's some companies out there that got a ton of bankroll and they can order whatever they want. Like, Nearlandia Co-op probably doesn't have the same financial constraints that we do. But, I mean, Steve doesn't get a day off. He works steady, and that's kind of what controls our schedule. And honestly, it's just floating stuff through the imports. I mean, it's nice. We got a good group of customers. They're usually pretty patient guys, and we try to communicate as accurately as possible.
Right. Yeah. How's that whole carbon barrel thing going for IBI? Do you really know much about it? I know. How long ago was that they started?
Oh shit! What's it been?
They released that a year ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, it's going well. Like we've built on all the best carbons that we've used. Proof and Hardy. We were really with Oregon Mountain Rifles at the time. Okay. But so when we got the IBIs, we tested them, we shot them, we saw consistent groupings, no heat migration, cold bore repeatability. So for us, supporting Canadian is nice. I mean, the lead times are but why not support Canadian and why not deal with local vendors? It's real hard to project out what carbons you need on a job. Is it 22, 24, 26? What twist rate, threaded, not threaded? Tika shank, not a Tika shank. Like that's one of those things where guys don't. And I mean, you're talking $1,000 a barrel, right? So it's a lot of money to try and tie up guessing what guys want. And when they spend the money, they probably want what they want. Not I went 2 inches longer because it's what was on the shelf.
Yeah.
We keep steel on the rack, but the carbon's a lot harder. That's all guesswork. And Steve's got a lineup. I bet you're back 12 to 14. Like I know Stacy's got 15 or 20 barrels for us this weekend.
Okay.
But I think Steve's still back. I don't think there's any carbon on this one. I think we're back, 12, 13 carbons right now?
Oh, I think I've got 9 on the board, and I think I updated that about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So,
Crazy. So, so in terms of steel barrels, lead time for that is about what? Depending on where you get them, I know. But.
Oh, yeah, like we deal almost exclusively with BI at this point. I mean, they've just been so consistent that we're not concerned about the quality of some maybe the bigger brand names. But I know Krieger and Bartlett are pushing a year plus. IBI is pushing 12, 14 weeks, but we'll place stocking orders. Sure. And we generally try to project that out as best we can. That's what's showing up this weekend is mostly our 6 mil, 223 and 308 stocking barrels. Yeah. So they keep us going on the regular stuff.
Right. Did IBI get an 8.5 twist button for a 338 yet?
They did an 8.4.
8.4.
8 for us.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm
you're
just wondering.
Jens's is an 8. It's in the shop ready to go.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. Stacy was pulling, or IBI. I'm sure Stacy doesn't do any real work, but they were pulling a button on the 375 barrels this week. The first pull didn't come out to spec, so we're hoping this one's going to get closer because Mikey Friesen there is going to go build another 375, and he'll probably be the test dummy on the ice.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just Steve and I started talking last week about getting another barrel for me on order for the 33XC, and you know what? That 9 twist has been working just fine for me. As far as I can tell, anyway. So I don't know whether to jump to an 8 or just leave it at 9 and run. So,
well, 8 will open up the solids world, and it won't hurt the burgers.
Yeah. I can't remember what I read just recently. I think Tubb was talking about Tubb, maybe it was somebody else. I can't remember exactly, but. The RPM on a 300 burger, you're stepping into, maybe he was talking about a 7.5 twist or something like that, stepping into dangerous territory in terms of RPM.
I think on that 8, like I had an 8 on my last one. I shot the A tips, which is supposed to be a little bit more sensitive, but I mean, that's anecdotal. Run the stability calculator on Burger's website, put in all your stuff, and like
I guess I should. Yeah.
Like we aim for like 2.2 to 2.8 on the ELR stuff, and 8 twist and 3,200 feet per second. You're not exceeding that. I think it's a 2.6 on the stability. So for shooting into the trans zones, everything I've read and seen, it seems to be about right. I mean, Cutting Edge recommends 1 twist faster on their bullets. I think you're calling for a 9 on the Burger, so going to an 8 isn't going to hurt, even at 31. Right. Like you're running about 3,200, eh?
Well, okay, so I did where I ended up after load development, and it was very early on, so it didn't that barrel didn't have a chance to really speed up or anything. And this, I was kind of thinking about this today, actually, in terms of barrel speeding up. But where I landed initially was 3186, pretty tight. And then we saw that trouble last year when it was stinking hot day at ELR camp out at Rob Furlong's, and I ran into pressure issues, and we chronoed, the hell was it, 3212 sticks in my mind, 3212, 3220, something like that. So a fairly significant jump. And I didn't have time. I had to go back to work for a week until King of 2 Miles. So I came back with that same load. I didn't have time to change anything. Hey, Kerri.
Hi.
And so I just ran with it and dealt with the issues. So 2 weeks ago, we tested it out again, and in about 24 degrees Celsius weather, we put the chrono on it right away. and we're getting as much as 3,242 feet per second. So a fairly significant jump. Now at that time, I was just under 250 rounds through that barrel. And I had never seen up until last year ELR camp, which was, I got to say, that was probably 40 rounds ago. Never saw an increase at all in that initial velocity that I ended up with in after load development. So that it's kind of interesting to me. Everybody talks about that, get 100 rounds down that barrel and let it speed up and refine your load development after that. With this particular barrel, and I don't know whether it's maybe the way I cleaned or the fact that it's a much larger barrel than kind of conventional precision rifles, but it didn't show speed up until about 220 rounds.
And you know what? Like Kerri and I just got caught on that on our arcs. They didn't speed up for 200, 250, and they both jumped about 6 feet. So I was out truing out here a couple of days ago because
is that right?
Tough time at some of the 700 plus.
Right.
And it was a data error. So we went. Steve brought that fancy bullet seeker. We re-chronoed everything. I shot 200 to 800 and back and forth and changed dials and back and forth. Like, of course, when you're starting to have problems, you start thinking everything's the problem. So like testing these apexes, we're shooting the load. I'm checking BC. We redid our Kestrel profiles. But I mean, I put 140
You're
rounds.
Overthinking the shit out of it is what you're doing. That's shocking to hear from you.
But it was 150 rounds. Like we shot an entire first match and it held up and then it kind of fell apart. And we're shooting factory ammo, so it's nothing to do with our hand loads. But it was interesting having to collect that data over again.
Cappy Capperson, ever the supportive friend.
Well,
the way you clean, who cleans a barrel, nerd?
So says the sponsored shooter, right?
Yeah. Cleaning regimes vary a lot. I mean, we got the 6 creeds and the 25 creed. They were running about 550 between cleanings. These arcs are the filthiest things I've ever seen in my life. If you watch
what powder are you running?
It's all.
You're running factory, right?
You see black smoke coming out of all 3 of our brakes. They look like fucking muzzle loaders. It's insane.
Well, they got some Bosnian powder in there or something, probably.
Oh my! It was the first 6 inches of that powder call, like barrel. I broke a cleaning rod this week cleaning my guns. Like they were tight.
What do you know about 6 inches?
That's well, I can imagine the last 2 buckets. But right, like it's one of those things we picked up on, and Mikey kind of brought it up, is maybe it was a dirty thing, maybe it was a pressure change, maybe it was this. So we cleaned it down to bare steel, went shot it, got our data. They're clean going into the match, but I think those little arcs are gonna have to be cleaned after every single match. A little ridiculous.
I wouldn't doubt it. That's really interesting.
But you shoot RL50 in your 33, don't you?
I do, yeah. What
were the 2 temperatures you did your load development and then you found out it was going faster? Because that one's one of the worst.
Is it? I don't know. You know what? I think when I did my load development, it was in August. Like it was, what the hell was it? I had 3 days before I had to go back to work, and then it was King of 2 Miles immediately after that. So I was kind of in a rush. It was late August, and I'm sure it had to have been 24, 26 degrees Celsius or something like that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't way off.
You loaded on the pipeline that day that we were out there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Say that again. You're breaking up. That was
the day we buried my work truck.
No. That was a different day.
Bad about it at all.
That was the day you had to run off to get A-tips because your solids weren't working for you.
Yeah. Well, that was 2 barrels in a row that I lost at sub 500 rounds. Like I went into the day of the pipeline with like 390 on that gun, and it never shot again. Like just couldn't get it running. We pulled that barrel, the last barrel that we went through on that one, and Steve Snipe Jack, both of them under 500 rounds, and they just stopped shooting.
That's crazy. I wonder. So you were talking about the solids a little bit earlier, and I wonder if have barrel manufacturers made any adjustments, or maybe that bullet manufacturer in terms of material or size of bore size in that, like for the barrel manufacturers, or have they gone to a bit of a softer material for the bullets? Have you heard anything about that? Because in my mind, that kind of makes sense. If you're shitting out a barrel like that in under 500 rounds, and I mean your velocities weren't anything wild, were they?
No, 3180. Like that's where both of my barrels are different lengths. Honestly, I think manufacturer. I think it was the steel that we got because we saw it a few times. I mean, I'm not here to talk anybody, but I lost 4 personal barrels of that brand a lot earlier than I should have in various calibers. Steve lost a couple of 338s in it. We have migrated away from them. So I still have that branded barrel on this 375, but Steve's got a Bartlett on his. We're going to track them. We're shooting the exact same powder, the exact same. We're going to see what kind of difference we see going up to the 375, but I'm expecting to see like 2,000 rounds on that gun. And the way he's going, it'll be like September.
Wait a second. Repeat that. You're expecting to see
2,000 on the 375 enabler.
Okay, so now that's a hell of a gap between what you were seeing before at under 500 now to 2,000 on a 375. What makes you think that you'll get there?
It's almost the exact same powder charge going from a 338 to a 375 and different brands of barrels. I don't think mine will. I bet you I'd lose mine at 1,200. Steve and I already have a bet on these barrels.
I highly doubt we'll see 2,000 running solids on these things. I'm anticipating 1,400 to 1,500 at best.
Is that right? You know, that's still pretty damn good.
For what it is, for sure it is. Yeah.
That's what we mapped out. Losing barrels so fast. And I mean, even with Steve's free labor, which is not free, it takes him out and it's his time and something. It was too expensive just going through a barrel every season. And the worst part was like that pressure of, like you say, I'm going to break in my barrel. I'm going to put 150 on it, season this thing up. I'm going to load develop it. I'm at 220. Well, shit, I got no time to practice. You got to fire, 30 rounds in miles. You're freaking out the whole time. And now that we've taken a couple, Gross, he took a shot out barrel last year as well, same brand, and lost it right around that same time frame, right? Like it's it started to correlate a lot where we had to ask some questions. So, like I say, we're trying new brands out. I hope that I get 375 out because then me, Mike, and Steve will have identical guns with 3 barrels and almost the same twist rates. So it'll be nice for data collection.
Okay, so with regard to data collection, are you far enough along, each of you, with your 375s to know whether or not your powder charges are going to be the same or anywhere close to each other?
Shane, tell the story on why you're behind.
Oh God, here we go.
So, shit happens, right? But this has been piling up, and I'm getting frustrated. So Kerri has another enabler. Sorry, it was an old customer Shytac or Snipe Tac that Steve horse traded back into the family and set back for 375 enabler. So we were out doing initial load development. My gun wasn't quite done yet. 398 tips, 50 BMG. It came together really quickly. Like I think she's going to be right around that 133 and a half at about 2960. Seems okay. Well, we came home. I had 50 fired brass. So I bought the RCBS Summit. I wanted a slightly bigger press. I wanted front access to it because you're using 2 different sets of dies. I'm like, I'll just set up a second press. So I buy this stupid Summit. I size 4 pieces of brass, and I could run the die right to a cam over and not bump the shoulder. So I was having issues getting it set up. I wasn't over camming it. I got about halfway down a piece of brass, and the press exploded. The whole top cast iron piece blew up like pieces over my loading room. So, of course, I'm down on this shell. I'm stuck on it. So I go to pull it up, and I break the other arm. The whole thing's destroyed. So I
imagine you were gentle, too, weren't you?
This is, okay, everyone's giving me shit about this. I wasn't being hard on it. It's a design flaw in the press. And there was an inclusion in the cast iron. So I call Steve. Steve makes fun of me. But I told him what was going on with the die. So we planned to come there and just take 50 thou off the bottom and try it again.
Right.
I ordered up warranty parts. RCBS Vista Outdoors Bushnell was horrible to deal with. 9 finally get the part in, put it on, I'm not even fucking joking. I got 13 pieces of brass size, exact same failure. Broke the press in half again. So I sent a nice email to RCBS. I said, this is it. I just figure out a refund. I don't know how to do it. I bought it from X Reload. It's not their problem. I ordered a Redding Ultra Mag from X Reload that landed on the doorstep as soon as we pulled out of the house today.
Oh, and no kidding.
I'm like, let's get this figured out. So our fired brass went through his die like butter. No problem at all. Not an issue. Still a big case. We put my die in his press. Wouldn't size the brass. The die was bad. So I called up Applied Ballistics. There's a couple of girls there, Novaline, Kimberly, awesome to deal with. She said, no problem. Send me your tracking info and I'll have one in the mail. I sent it out the next day. It was 4 or 5 days. I had a new set of dies. So new set of dies, still don't have a press. So when I get back on, I'm setting up the Ultra Mag and I'm going to get running. So my gun is all done. Our pallet landed today, so our big import with all our solids and crap on it. So I'll have my lasers, and my brass is actually on that order as well. So this week will be a mad dash trying to get those enablers up and running. But I'm confident this and I are going to be very 2 grains on our charge weights.
Say that again.
Confident Steve and I will be within 2 grains, plus or minus 2 grains of the same charge weight. The barrels are very similar. Steve ordered this 375 that's on my gun. What was it, a thou larger or 2 thou larger to accommodate for the solids?
2/10.
2/10, yeah. So hopefully it runs a little better and doesn't generate any pressure, but it's that same brand that we've been having some issues with, and so I'm not happy about it. But everything he builds shoots. Sometimes they don't shoot very long.
Well, yeah. So that's kind of what I was wondering about before. If some barrel manufacturers have opened up their bores a little bit to accommodate the solids.
There are some companies like Bartlett and Benchmark both offer 2 different size bore diameters on all their calibers that you can order from. But I also know a lot of guys just run solids out of whatever barrel they can find and don't generally have a whole pile of issues.
Right. Okay.
I'm just going to cross my fingers on this one. We went cutting edge. It's the easy button. Steve, have you had to fuck around at all with those cutting edge?
No, not with the bullets themselves. I had some ES issues, but other than that, no, the bullets shot right from the beginning.
And they never shot like butt holes, but really consistent 0.5 to 0.7 at virtually every distance. Like,
every charge weight was the same. Like it didn't grow or didn't shrink. So consistency's there.
And so where do you go with that?
Well, that's where I call you.
Oh God! Someone has misled you.
I settled on 0.6, and that's just where it landed. My EF is like 15 to 18, depending on the day. And I water lined it at like 2,300.
Yeah.
And I had about 8 inches of vertical. So.
Oh, is that right?
So that's good enough for the caliber shooting I do. So.
I picked up the last King of 2 miles. Like, we got really into the load development and the bullets and the BCs and the Terex and the bullshit, and then didn't hit anything. So I jumped in class. I dipped my toes in it. It's a new community we want to meet. But I figured you watch the guy King of 2 miles, especially for all the class guys, 3 win in a 0.5 mile an hour. I'm like, I want to go test that. So Steve built me a rifle, and of course the thing shoots without trying. I threw together random loads. Like, the first practice I shot was just a random load of 55 grains of 100 and 160. It was running 9, shot okay. It shot 3, like a whole grain shot sub 0.4. So I just went out with loads and I shot the match there the other weekend. And geez, like, it outperforms me. It's still, when you're really dialing it in on the F class side and you're looking at like the small targets and you get these awesome little tablets that show you exactly where you hit on your target. All of a sudden you realize that the guns are almost always outperforming us. There's very few of us until you get to the very, very top level that are truly out shooting the consistency of the rifles.
Kerri can. I've seen her do it.
Oh, she do it. There's no question.
Okay.
So, kind of going around in a bit of a circle here, but where are you seating those solids in your big rifles?
I'm 20 thou off. I started off with a soft jam, and then I just backed it up, and that helped with my ESs. So
It
like I
does.
say, about 20 thou off and just let her buck.
Okay. What about you, Shane?
Mine are in a pallet still, so I haven't tried mine. But Kerri's twist rate is only a 10, which limited us onto what we could. Or I do have some of the 375s coming in, but I'm pretty sure one of our customers took them all. I started 20 thou off with the A-tips. I think there's a little bit I can play with there, but I got a decent speed and a half decent ES, even on Virgin. But I only had 50 rounds, right? So I got to get out. I got to go reconfirm that and maybe piss around with the seating depth a little bit. But she was shooting sub MOA. I would rather spend my time shooting it at 800 to see what it's doing than shooting it at 200 meters. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Steve he shoots big guns more than I do, but I really struggle shooting tiny groups with big rifles a short distance. Whereas all of a sudden you stretch it out to 500, 600, 700, 800. I just seem to perform better. I don't know if it's you aim small, miss small, the plate look. I don't know what it is, but shooting at 100 is getting really frustrating for me as I get older. So I started going out to distance, and if it holds up at distance, it's going to hold up anywhere you want at whatever distance, right? Like you're taking, I think, some of our mental errors out of it. Like Kerri shoot a group for the life. Shoots me at matches.
True.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. It's I think your mind starts messing with you a little bit when you're closer range and you're trying to be really disciplined and shoot that small group to eliminate variables and all that kind of stuff and dial in on a powder charge or seating depth or whatever. And I think oftentimes you mind fuck yourself and you get trash data. But you're right. It often seems to come together a little bit more further out when you can't really analyze from your shooting position precisely what went on way out there. So it's not messing with your mind. I've found that to be the case quite a bit. Although I still often load test at 100 for just about anything. There's another. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I can't remember the last time Steve shot at 100. I'm sure if he looks at a target board at 100, it's going to look like he's shooting the IMAX screen.
Yeah, right.
300 or more. I don't see any point in starting any closer than that because
there's not a lot. I mean, there's some. There's some data you can gather at closer. No, there's not. Right, especially for this kind of silly game that we play, where anything we does really only matters one hell of a long way out there, right?
Well, unless you 6 arc at 300 is still, I mean, it's like shooting a 308 again.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So in terms of, again, with the load development thing, velocity with those big rifles, I've always been of the opinion, especially the older I get, the less work I want to do. If I get a load in under 20 feet per second for, a PRS type rifle, just load a whole shitload and go. I don't care beyond that. If everything's coming in with an extreme spread of 20 or less, it's gold as far as I'm concerned. This ELR game is a bit of a different animal, though.
I think you might be surprised that if you just plug those two different velocities into your calculator, you'll get your vertical mill dispersion at distance. Our arcs, I mean, fucking Hornady ammo. We're shooting 40, 50 ES. I shot Kerri's at 800, and it shot an 1.5-inch water line for 5 rounds. Like, we had some wind.
Is that right?
It was about 3.5, 4 inches wide, but it was barely 2 bullet heights tall. Like, and again, that's a 50 ES. I think if you put it in your calculator, you'll be very, very surprised that at 2,000, a 20-foot is probably less than a tenth. It might be 2/10.
Mm-hmm.
It is a.
So I did a little bit more fooling around with the load on that 33XC there a couple of weeks ago, and over 10 rounds, I believe it was, got an extreme spread of 17, and I want to see if I can do a little bit better than that. Ended up with a velocity of, Jens, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it was somewhere around 31 3140, 3150, something like that, rather than my original 3186. But I'm telling you, extraction was a dream compared to what it was at the end of last season. Like, that was a goddamn nightmare. I mean, it could have been worse. Like, it could have had a stuck bolt completely.
Well, and we've talked about ES a lot lately, but Steve and I were going through that bullet seeker the other day because fucking Steve, like, rarely am I the guy to talk a person down, but he's all stressed out. He's his dad got 32 rounds on the chronograph, and he's like, I got like a 27 ES or 30 ES. He's all panicked about it, and we see there's 3 outliers in the 32 rounds, whether that be hot chamber, a neck tension, whatever. I deleted out those 3. You got a 20 round string that shot a 16 or 17 ES, but the SD was 3.2 or 3.4. So we get really obsessed with the ES.
Oh,
but the bigger your string gets, you're going to get players. It's what is your SD, because that's what shot to shot dispersion is statistically going to look like, right? So I started ignoring my ESs and taking more at my SDs. Like my F class gun, I'm shooting those 180 CNRs at 2960 or 2860, sorry, and I've got an 11 to 13 SD, and I shot mid 70s with 50% better V-bulls, and I've never done it before, right? Like, I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm going to lean on like Brent and the Glens and see if I can get some more form and shooting training, because like shooting the front rest is really different. But like those guys are 2 and 3 SDs. Like Brent, I think I saw a couple of his strings were like 2.8 SD. I'm shooting like 11 to 13. And it showed in our scores a bit, but I don't think it was the load.
Sure,
the fact that Brent would trump all over me in a match.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get into stuff like that, shooting beside guys like Brent. There's a hell of a lot more to it than you've learned yet, right?
Brent's got this whole routine. He places everything. He sets it all up. He tensions everything. He sacrifices a chicken. He's got like 25 minutes of setup before you're like, doing this right?
Left sock on first.
Yep, 100%.
But if it works, who's to question it?
Well, and that's it.
Right.
I can piss on Brent, but that's the thing. You look at his scores. There's this young fella out there, and he was like a machine. It was unbelievable. It was just V, V, V. Like, it's crazy what guys can actually do, having come from like the PRS or just the prone bipod world. It's very different, and it's very satisfying. I fucking really liked it.
Good Lord, you're breaking up bad. What campground are you in there?
This is gas Edison hat.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, you're choppy as hell.
Maybe it comes back. 5G, 5G right.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Christ, there was a question I was gonna throw at you, but it's since leaked out. I was trying to interpret what you were saying.
No.
So another thing that I've started doing too. Oh, what I wanted to say was, have you guys been watching any of the Hornady podcasts lately? They're talking a lot. Oh my! You know what? There's a lot of stuff that that makes sense in the things that those guys talk about, and I'm starting to play with those ideas a little bit more. One being seating depth for bullets. I've kind of always, Steve, you and I have talked lots about where to seat a bullet, and I think both of us are in many ways the same, that we're not afraid to jam a bullet, and I'm starting to see
better consistency with a soft jam.
Yeah,
myself, but
I thought I did too, and I've been playing around more with larger jumps. Like, I was kind of that guy that, in rare cases, I'll make that decision. You know what? I'm just going to jam these suckers and run. Yeah. And it's worked out well enough for me that I've done it on several different rifles. If I don't do that, I kind of always go, hell with it. I'll go 20 thou off, and it's almost always worked out for me. One exception being that that 6XC of Kerri's that I shot there for a while, with those 110 Match Kings. It was very definite with that bullet. Either 45 thou off or 90 thou off would shoot hands down the best.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Berger and you look at their stuff, those are two of the numbers that they pick. It's like that 40 thou and 90 thou.
And I don't know what happened over the last couple of rifles, but same sort of thing. I always just did 20 thou off. I have to be able to eject them in a match, so it was always 20 thou off. I've shot a lot of CNRs, so I've never, like, they just always shoot.
They shoot everywhere. Yeah.
Right. So when I went to the 25 Creedmoor with the 131 Blackjacks, I tested those. They shot at 90 thou.
No kidding.
Well at 90 thou. The Berger, I started at 15 off, and it shot immediately. I didn't do anything with the Berger to get it shooting. Mikey, the 110.
That's the standard hybrid, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The 125 hybrid. And then, like, Mikey was shooting those 110 SMKs, and his was 70 or 90 thou off as well. And he even has a short throat in that reamer. He has his own reamer for the 6 Creed. And I think it's 55 or 60 thou shorter. And it's still shot with jump. I don't know. We just started seeing all this stuff that, I don't know. The way my brain works is it's a system, right? So if you've got concentric ammunition and it's chamber and
absolutely
chamber, and all your rifling, your lands and grooves have equal heights, your jump should almost be irrelevant. It's not like that bullet's got anywhere to go in there.
Yep.
I think the jump sensitivity or the theory of the jump, and I mean, there's going to be smarter people who tell me I'm an idiot, which is right. But I think as the quality of the barrel and the chamber work increases, the seating depth becomes less necessary to be right on top of the lands. And I think if you give them just a little bit of freebore, a little bit of jump on them, they tend to get going a little bit better. And I mean, we've seen that in a couple of calibers now, but again, anecdotal. I get a few more barrels on it, I'll still do my 20 to 100 thou jump test and see where it is. But if I get something shooting right away, I don't piss around with seating depth at all. My 284, 180 CNRs, I did 52 to 56 grains of N160 in half grain increments. I went 20 thou off with the Berger or the CNR, and 54, 54 and a half, and 55 all shot the exact same point of impact. They all shot 0.3 and 0.4 5-round groups. There was still big velocity migration in them, but I don't care. And I shot 4.5 for 4 of the relays, and I shot 55 on Virgin Brass for 2 of the relays, and they both scored the same statistically.
No kidding. So you're talking velocity migration. That was from test group to test group, or through that one test group?
No, from charge to charge. So 54
charge to charge. That's a better way to put that.
I was gaining about 30 feet on half grain increments. So I wasn't seeing the proverbial flat spot the guys see, but I've even started to see that doesn't occur as consistently as we think it does. I started shooting 3-round pressure velocity test. So everything was 3 rounds, and then I graph all those, and I get an ES, SD, and a median off of each 3-round group. Because if you just shoot a 1-round test, you could have one at 2,800, the next, which is high for its charge weight, and then the next one is low on its ES and hits 28.2.
100%, man. Yeah.
It's not enough data. 5 per charge, fucking fill your boots, but 3 at least gives data to say this load still shot a broad ES, or it was a really tight ES, or I had 2 or 3 charges shot good ESs. But if you're only looking for a flat spot, I think the more you shoot those ladder tests, you're like, fuck, I don't see one here. And then if you reshoot it, all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's right here.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's funny you say that because, oh God, years ago, when I started getting into more precise hand loading, I started shooting ladder tests. And of course, I started out, very much like Scott Satterley's 10-round load development, or whatever the heck it was that he sort of marketed there for a while years ago. I was doing the single, what do you say, the single string ladder test. You know, you choose your range of charges, and you load up 1 round at each charge, and back out to 500 or 600 meters and shoot on a big piece of paper and see where each one of those plots. And you know what? I thought it worked out fairly well for me for a time. And then I, of course, start thinking more about this sort of stuff. Exactly what you're saying, that the velocity differences within a particular charge weight. And so what I started doing was loading 3 rounds up at each powder charge. So I'd run one ladder and then wait for the barrel to cool, and I'd run that same ladder backwards. So lowest to highest for the first one, highest to lowest, and then same kind of process, lowest to highest again. And then you want to talk about introducing fuckery into data. but it goes to show that with any one powder charge, no matter how precise you might get with charging that case, it'll show dispersion.
Yeah.
And then what do you do with it? It grays the data that you get from it. So yeah, I think a lot of guys are starting to sort of evolve their process.
Like we tried to write, we have something on the website. It's something that I put together, and you're right. It is a combination of the 6'5" guys, Scott Satterley, Brian Litz, and it's, you see the OCW, you see the ladder, and basically what I wanted to get to is the quickest way. Can I go season my barrel, break in my barrel while shooting pressure data,
right,
and get an idea of where the node may be? Because you will have a node, which is, again, charge weight, it's dwell time, is vibration on the barrel. It's not just the powder charge, it's those milliseconds it takes to exit, that your barrel's at the same spot. Right. And what you want to find is something that you can be floppiest with and get the best consistency. But like I say, that 284, I mean, Steve's guns are pretty good. I mean, when I delve into the 0.2s and the 0.1s and the nonsense, I typically don't get anything better. A 284, a half grain increment was probably, but I got a whole grain that it shoots better than me at. So why not anymore with load development versus just learning how to shoot better?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's that whole. Sorry, you cut out for that entire.
Oh, I think like our arcs are only shooting half, 3/4, even with the tuners on them. But at distance, they're shooting much better, right? So again, you've got all that velocity, and you think about factory ammo. How is it you could put Federal Gold Match 308 in any 308 and it would shoot? How does the 6.5 feet or 40 match Hornady stuff shoot bug holes? Like in one of our barrels, or the barrels that we put together, we're consistently seeing 0.2 to 0.4 on factory ammo. Well, their ESs are still full, but they all hit the same sort of velocity nodes. Like out of a Creed, you're generally 28, 20, like in that, like Creed, 308 better than anyone. I mean, it's 2,700, 2,750 on a 168, and it's consistent, and they always shoot. I think the more we learn, or the more tech we get, or the fancy scale and all the nonsense, I don't think it's made me any better. I mean, I'd like to look for stuff that makes me faster. At this point, I think I'd like to get dumber as I progress.
The Bullet Seeker has made you a better shooter.
The Bullet Seeker is awesome.
You're gonna have to try that, Kurt.
Tell me about this Bullet Seeker. I've we're a part of that group chat or whatever, and I hear you bragging and all this kind of stuff, and I'm just fuck whatever.
So everybody knows, like, the fucking Lab Radar is the biggest piece of shit out there. It's not user friendly.
Okay. Hey, Lab Radar, fantastic job warranting our Lab Radar. They're wonderful people.
Yeah, but you sold it because it's a piece of shit. So
cumbersome and rifle.
Hey, focus here.
Yes. So overall, Kurt, how many rounds have you shot in front of a Lab Radar? Thousands?
Oh God, yeah.
How many has it missed?
Well, probably a couple hundred.
Yeah. So
I would say 15 to 20%.
Yeah. So on my Bullet Seeker
lately, we've had much better luck. We're doing things a little bit better, and our success rate is higher, but it still does miss the odd one. I don't know. I find it adequate, I guess, but.
So aside from a little bit of an issue with Shane the other day on where to mount it because he didn't have a pick rail in the right spot. So I've got over 500 rounds through my bullet seeker or by it, and it hasn't missed one shot until Shane's rifle the other day.
And we an offset. It was too far off the bore center line, so we learned something. But Kerri's rifle, and I held it on alongside the chassis, and it caught everything.
Yeah.
Really? So what's the deal with that thing? Sorry, Shane. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
The only hiccup, which you see less and less now, but say you're or on my class gun, there's no Picatinny rail out front beyond what the bipod is on. You don't have all those accessory attachment points. That's kind of the only thing that we're thinking about. We're probably going to make a pick mount for my front rest so we can run it on the 284 as well. But the KDEX, the J. Allen, the ACCs, all that stuff has a place for Picatinny rail so you can get, because it does appear to have about a 2-inch sensitivity on your bore alignment. Like we tried to mount it to my top scope rail and it wouldn't pick up that high. We tried to mount it to the bottom of my ARCA. I had a pick rail on my J. Allen ARCA, but that's probably a 3 or 4-inch offset, and it picked up 2 out of 5. So as soon as we held it up right beside the gun, it picked up everything.
So we did it side by side with the lab radar, and between the two of them, I think there was about 9 feet per second difference. But I mean, statistically, 9 feet
consistent.
Per second. Yeah, like it was always like 9, 10, 8. Like it bounced around a bit, but 3 feet per second on a spread. We can't shoot that well to see it anyways.
Well, and Steve's pumped because
no, that's damn true.
Well, it actually reads out, like audibly, you can set it to call out what your speed is. So Steve's all pumped because it's like this female voice. He's going to be shooting the king at 2 miles, and it's going to be yelling his velocity at him. But it's
that same crazy broad as in your GPS. Recalculating.
But so here's the thing. So for king at 2 miles, so if we've got that strapped to our rifles, so Kurt, if you're shooting and you have one go high, if you don't have the speed there, you don't know if it was the round itself or if it was you, right? So now if you follow it and it says that you were 50 feet per second fast and you were high, well, you know to discount that shot and not make a correction.
I suppose that has the potential to introduce some confusion or distraction at the very least, right? Because holy shit, is my velocity coming up right now, or was that an outlier? So I don't know. That I think I already deal with enough information overload during that shot string at King at 2 miles. I got too much to think about already.
You bring that pretty rifle with you. I'll bring some Phillips screws, and we'll screw a pick rail on the side of it, and you can shoot it.
Sounds good. Make sure they're brass screws, though.
Yeah.
Maybe we can download software to change the German lady that yells at him, because that's all.
Yeah. No, it's a globe.
But he yells.
That's too funny.
Mills.
Say that again.
When he yells 9, you don't know if it's stop or 9 mils.
Right. So the bullet seeker, what system is it? Like we know that the lab radar is a Doppler, right? Is it?
It's the same style of system. I believe it works off of a different frequency, but it's all in the same scope.
Okay, but you do have to aim it. And it has to be a certain distance from your bore, essentially. What about fore and aft?
So, like on my 34-inch barrel, I've got it on the end of the dual strike chassis, and it's probably over 2 feet away, and it's fine.
The muzzle blast doesn't bother. Mount a gun within 2 inches of your bore center line, and it's on a Picatinny rail. There's no aiming adjustment. It just picks it up. So dummy proof. It's unbelievable.
Is that right?
Very cool.
Interesting. And so it's dummy proof, and you're still in love with the lab radar, Shane.
No, I'll be honest. The Lab Radar, I frustrated because I'd always have to load up like 10 extra rounds just to make sure I got it lined up. But the guys at Lab Radar were fantastic. I blew one up. Again, shooting beside those XCs, it just stopped working after all the concussion and vibration.
Man,
I called
absolutely
for the King of 2 Miles. I shipped it to them and I had it back less than 7 days in Quebec.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So to be fair,
kind of amazing.
Equipment for the average guy, you're buying them for like $900 now. That bullet seeker is like $1,600. So they're certainly.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
But the Lab Radar is still a good machine. The real issue is the boomers. Anything over 90 grains of powder with those side brakes, it's very difficult to find just the right place where it's picking up every round and it's not getting moved around by the muzzle brake.
Well, Jens and I have moved to a position much closer to the shooter. To be honest, we're about a foot off axis, but out kind of just in front of the scope. So there, with those big rifles, there's still a fair distance between the muzzle and back to that location, just out in front of the scope, and it seems to be working quite well for us there.
I always had to mount it on a tripod and put it above the barrel.
Yeah.
I found that was the most reliable for what I was doing.
Look at this, Alberta Rob. What the hell is it? God damn it, you bastards are going to have me spend more thousands now. You're welcome. Let's backtrack a little bit. Dallas Daku is asking, going to try the DTAC in my 6XC. Any recommendations?
You know what? I can get more info tonight. One of the guys staying with us, he's coming in from Calgary. He runs the DTACs in his 6 Creed. It's only about a grain difference in capacity. I think he's pushing about 3,050 on the Creed. And I think he runs about a 15 or 20 thou jump. The DTACs are another very conventionally shaped bullet. Like they're very close to sort of profile. They seem very easy to load and shoot.
What's I heard a lot of guys were getting away from them simply because of supply. Now that I think was about 2 years ago. A lot of guys were trying to find something else that shot as well. Lots of guys loved them, but now is supply better? Do you know?
I think it was a combination of two things. The DTACs, when you buy them in bulk, are actually quite affordable. Like if you're looking at like a Burger 105, they're like 80, 85 cents now.
Oh, they're crazy.
You're buying DTACs in bulk. Like we can bring them in, guys. So I know that pricing is pretty aggressive. I know there's another dealer in BC there. They're normally like 45 to 60 cents. So they come out a little bit cheaper than a Burger.
DTACs?
Yeah.
A little cheaper. That's half price. Potentially.
45, 50. Yeah. I mean, I haven't ordered from anybody for a while, but they generally 15 to 25 cents cheaper.
Okay.
They are a great consistent bullet. They got a nice BC on them, but you're right. It's all batch running. So anything Hub has, or like those Blackjacks, I mean, it's been like 3 years and Blackjack hasn't been produced again. Like I think they're completely out of business now. That was
you're kidding.
They folded
on Sierra. And as soon as you started getting a few more conflicts, all of a sudden Sierra was ramping up production for other things.
Yeah.
Especially not the third-party bullets.
What do you mean third-party bullets?
Like the tub design stuff for the Blackjack.
Oh,
go to see
I got you.
Built to their specifications.
Right.
So that supply chain suffered. But like I know Tub posted on his site there a few months ago, they got like 100,000 in. Like their order finally got filled and they're back
Holy
up.
Smokes.
Supply. So like we can order from Tub. The only real issue is that those third-party items are not meant for international distribution. Like they don't have a program set up where they give us like and cost us 8% to get it across the border. You can sell them for the American dollar plus exchange.
Right.
Those guys are like 5% discounts unless you're ordering 10 grand worth of stuff and it's 10%.
Yeah.
So that becomes a challenge. And I think why you don't see a lot of guys in Canada stocking like the 300 grain DTEC. He has one for the 33XC. The 115s, I mean, there's really only one or two dealers who ever bring them in.
Yeah.
You can normally get a 105 Burger. I mean, up until the last year, a 105 Burger was everywhere. You could go buy one and they shoot amazing. They're easy. There's a 105, 108, 109. Like there's just so many choices in the Burger lineup that I feel like you're almost just chasing a fat to go find the obscure boutique bullet that you have to import.
Yeah.
This is going to seem probably quite off color, but you know what bullet I'm pretty impressed with? I mean, I've always been an advocate of the Hornady Bowtail Hollow Point for a great utility type bullet. They seem to do quite well. They're not as accurate as a Burger or certainly a Sierra, but the Barnes burners for the price are a very underrated bullet, I think.
Well, Steve just did BRA for one of our customers, and all he's burners.
Is that right?
But again, it's one of those things. Like, do you walk into Canadian Tire or Cabela's and see them? Not usually. Like, I know X-Ray has stuff like that, but I've never seen an overwhelming amount of match burners anywhere. I see the odd guy on shoot them, but
right. I've gotten some on sale at Cabela's recently that but I mean, when they're on sale, and with the current climate of availability for all this kind of stuff, I really didn't give a damn, but I'm really impressed with them. I think I got them for 46 or 47 cents a piece. It's just crazy. So I bought 1,000 140 6.5s, and what the hell, they do just as well, if not better, than a Hornady Bowtail Hollow Point that I've loved forever.
I've shot a lot of Hornady stuff. I'm shooting it right. I've found you can always find a load, but what we saw fairly often was that from box to box, you had to change loads. So if you went from lot to lot, it was retuning. Like I had a run around on my 40, and Steve, again, in his infinite wisdom, I told him what was happening. Every single match, I was having to reload develop. I was like 900 rounds of load development on this fucking barrel. Steve looked at me, I don't want to hear that it's a bad barrel. He's like, shot any factory Lapua out of it?
Yeah.
Well, no. He's like, order up some factory 139 Lapua.
Amen to that. Yes.
And that was it. It shot bug holes. I went and loaded up on CNRs, and I've never purposely shot a Hornady since. I mean, I had those 300 A-tips because I couldn't find any burgers.
Right.
Once we're done firing the arc loaded, we're going to reload it with either burgers or cutting edge.
Okay. Oh, is that right?
Well, cutting edge is working with our team, so we have a team price on it. So we're kind of thinking to get away from the burger race. We can order solids whenever we want. So if we pick up a couple of thousand of those 90s, we could probably shoot them competitively against the burger pricing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it just becomes wow, like a 90 grain solid out of an arc is going to do like 2,900 feet per second. It'd be so cool. Nobody will ever care.
That's funny.
You'll never see the impact on the steel, but it's pretty cheap.
We got to have flat on everything.
So, this is dragging up old shit, but the tub nose ring.
Not smart enough to comment.
I mean,
it does something, maybe it doesn't.
I think he's a great salesman.
I think he is too. Now, saying that, I don't have any data to back up my skepticism, I suppose, but I thought we were past all that sort of stuff. That a racing stripe will get another 3 miles an hour on your quarter mile car.
The one thing I would say, because again, I don't know the geometry or the aerodynamic impact it has. I'm sure that's something Litz could comment on. But Warner Tool, so Dan Warner Tool for the flatline offers a tub ring as an option.
They do, hey? That
lends a little bit of credence to it. But again, we order flatline, don't order them with the nose ring. I haven't had a customer want them yet, so but I do know that the L stamped on the back of a CNR does make it shoot better. So
yes. What was their marketing behind that? There was something very little about that, wasn't it? But it turned out to be just really nothing. It was like a new batch. They put an L in the bottom of the punch or something, right?
I think it was when they came out with the CNR L, because there was the CNR and then there's the CNR L. So I think the L were originally stamped Lapua, but I'm shooting the 180s, which I don't honestly know off the top of my head if it's a CNR or a CNR L. I'll have to look when maybe it is just because it's the L. Steve, take a look at your 139 if there's an L stamped on it.
Well, the ones that I've got are probably about 10 years old now, so I can guarantee they've got the L on them because I remember shooting them at a mile.
Yeah,
picking them up.
It makes it feel better. You go pick that bullet up and you see the L on it. You're like, look at the care and attention they put in to bring every individual bullet. I mean, like, it'll shoot.
Yeah, you probably picked up 12 feet per second too.
At least.
But you dropped some BC, but it was more consistent.
Right.
The Pua Sinars are the biggest kept secret in precision rifle. What we do, everybody chases BC. They want the highest BC because they think they're a better shooter. All of a sudden, you've seen the last 2 to 3 years, everybody's shooting roughly the same BC, whether it's a 6 or a 6.5.
Right.
But everyone's slowing down. Like you're seeing way more guys running BRAs and the BRs and the dashers at 2,800 feet per second. Like we're running 760.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you chasing a BC number if you're getting back down to horse and cart speeds? Like it's about.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny. I've known for a long time that those Sinars are a beautiful bullet. Like they're just so easy to load. You see them almost anywhere, and they'll shoot nicely. They don't have the greatest BC, and that's not the flashiest thing for these last several years, right? So yeah, I can see guys chasing the burgers and the D-tags and whatever else, right? But what the hell was I going to say? Oh, Litz did a study several years ago now with 338 Lapua. And at that time, it was the difference between the 300 Burger. Now, there might be some bias here because of him working for Burger, but he put the 300 Burger against the 300 Sinar, and their the hit probability. There was actually quite a difference between those two at long range. Now I can't remember whether it was I want to say it was 1,200 or maybe a mile. I'm not sure which, but and that's the thing that I think some guys run into with the lower BC bullet, where they'll run out of poop, they'll go through that transition to subsonic, right? And if they don't have enough speed and spin, more importantly, right, that gyroscopic stability, they'll start to disperse, I guess, through there. And I think that's probably where the Sinar ran out of favor, I guess you'd say, compared to the Burger at long range.
You were out with us when Kerri was fireforming my 338i at the poker alley. So shooting burgers. I was running a soft jam. You settle down. I was shooting the burgers, but I was shooting a soft jam, and all of a sudden started getting huge pressure, and so I started measuring up some bullets from lot to lot, and that was right. The Burger was going through a bunch of supply chain issues. I started to see some variants, so I bought Sinars. Yeah. We shot the Sinars out at, what was that plate at, Steve? 1,350 meters, 1,340?
1,200.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that far, but yeah. Okay.
In that, we had to dial, yes, this is going back a long ways. We had to dial one away more, going from the Burger to the Sinar.
Is that right?
It's just not much. And at that distance, 338 Lapua with a 300 is still supersonic. Even running 2750, still supersonic to about 1250, 1300.
Right, but you know what I'm saying though, because when like the lower BC, it'll shed velocity a little bit quicker, and it'll shed RPM as well. And if you don't have that RPM going through transonic, that's where things start to deviate a little bit more. I think that's what Litz found through that study. So there's the one downside, but I'm 100% with you that a Sinar is a very nice bullet in terms of accuracy within a given range, right?
If you know that it's going to shed BC faster because it's slowing down and it's not stabilizing as well, spin it one, like go a twist faster.
There's always that option. Yeah, absolutely. If you get
we do that on almost every rifle. It's always a half to one twist faster than is conventional.
That's getting to be much more common now. Hey, yeah.
I know. We're trendsetter.
Just say that again.
We're a trendsetter.
Well, you're something.
Honestly, I was reading Todd Hocknett. Like, he was a big proponent of it. He had a great article that came out.
That's right.
When they developed 338 for SOCOM, they ordered a 9.3 twist barrel. They shot it tested well, and that what became the standard for the 338 Lapuas. Right. Except like an 8 or an 8.5 will shoot better. It's like we got consistency on this. It ended up in SAMI specification, and that's what everyone keeps running. And it doesn't not shoot, but we build our 338 Lapuas, Lapua AIs, the Norma, the XC. They're all 8 twist. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We haven't had any issues with them yet.
It's funny how that kind of went away, that whole idea about overspinning a bullet. You still see it every once in a while on a forum where somebody will say, oh, fuck, you'll overspin a bullet. And, that's true to some degree with some bullets, I think. But I think bullet construction has improved in recent years to the point where that's no longer an issue.
And the distances we're shooting now, compared to even like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, substantially further. Yeah. So it has to evolve, and that one extra turn makes a difference.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, that's awesome. So Kerri go ahead.
I was going to say, we actually have a customer going through that right now with another barrel build, and he was worried it's too fast. But what I'm starting to see commented more, guys giving feedback, is high carbon buildup will damage of the jacket, causing them to blow up on a twist rate.
100%. You score that jacket with a carbon ring, you're screwed right from the get-go, I think.
Well, and let's just put out an article too, talking specifically about over twisting stuff, right? And he said it's very, very difficult to over twist a bullet or have them come apart, exclude thin-skinned varmint bullets. A thin-skinned varmint bullet, guys always run super fast.
Right.
They're apart, right?
Right.
Thicker match jacket, overspin the bullet. And like I say, we always look at the gyroscopic stability calculator, and we try to kind of plan within those ranges. Mm-hmm. One, or Steve's never built one, over a 3 stability factor, but we don't have bullets coming apart.
Yeah, interesting. Scotty Chitchell is asking, he simply said gain twist. Now, I know you guys do have a fair bit of experience with gain twist barrels. Your opinions on them?
Steve?
I don't have an issue with them. From what I've researched and what I've learned from them, starting the bullet off slower and then ramping up your twist, in theory, should help. But
I think it's a sound concept.
Yeah. So the only downside to it is it engraves the bullet differently.
Sure.
So you could potentially lose some BC because of that, because it's actually swiping across the rifling.
Yeah.
Potentially there could be some more copper buildup in your barrel because of that swiping, but proper cleaning and whatnot. But I can't prove or disprove it either way. I mean, I've shot both, and everything's shot, so there's nothing to say anything different.
I don't know how you would distinguish any real differences between a conventional and a gain twist, unless the gain twist was significant, right?
So that's
the game twist we were using were only like a +1, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and that's what we hear from, like, Bartland has a rule that they only do a +1. KS Arms, we were using +1s out of them. They did all, but you know what? In all honesty, like, your straight 9 compared to my 9 to 8 gain, we have the speeds, almost the same charge weights. They both shot.
Yeah, that's true.
We I don't know. We got behind some gain twist. They all shot for us. So why change it? If there was nothing wrong with it, why walk away from it? We've just a barrel manufacturer that doesn't offer gain twist. Going to the final twist has not increased our pressures. We haven't had any more issues. I don't know. I think it's 6 in one does in the other. It's like doing a left-hand twist for your hemisphere nonsense.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine, any how do I say, pressure decrease you might realize from a slower twist start. You'd need some pretty elaborate lab equipment to determine that, wouldn't you? And that was one of the marketing features of a gain twist, as far as I knew, was that lower starting pressure. because he didn't have that sort of wall to push against.
I think that I would honestly think that if you took that to like a finite element analysis or an engineer, he's probably going to laugh, because if you're starting it at a 9 and twisting 8, like your rotational force or the torque at a 9 at 3,200 feet per second probably isn't reduced more than 1% or 2.
No,
like, I can't see it being a very tangible. And like Steve says, because you've got that decreasing rotational cut, it's going to increase the smear or increase the engraving mark on that bullet.
It might, you might see something different, like with a 6 ppc when you're going from a 14 twist to a 12 or something like that, right?
So I was gonna say, like, if you say you took a straight 9 and your speed, and if you looked at the RPM of the bullet and then you took one full twist away from it, it's a pretty significant number. It's not small percentages. It adds up a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, rotational speed 100%, but it gains that over the full length of the barrel. I don't think in an actual torque measurement, with the weight of that bullet on the inside of that circumference, I just don't think the torque measurement, the actual impact, rotational speed, which is why we always go to the final twist.
Yeah.
I think it changes. I don't know. I would think you probably have more accessible data going from like a 4 groove to a 5 groove to a 6 groove. And I'll be honest, we don't really do a whole lot of that. We do lots of 5 grooves out of PI. Most of them are 5R. All the 6 millimeters, we're using their 4-6 groove, I believe. The 338s I just ordered, or 375s I just ordered, are 6 groove. I just rely on the barrel manufacturers. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
If you're dealing with any of the big guys now, we have virtually zero concern that any top level barrel is not going to shoot. I mean, doing his job. I mean, not to say Steve doesn't make mistakes, but it's very, very seldom. Out of all these big brands, I don't know, they're all machined really well. I think guys get really hung up on brand names sometimes because their buddy had one or they saw one at the top of a leaderboard. But I think 98% of the population shooting rifles, so long as they have a good smith capable of his work and a reputable barrel brand, the gun's going to outshoot them.
Right. Well, I think we can just all agree here that the three of us talking about these matters with trying to display some intelligence is like a goddamn plumber getting into a lab and I slept at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Free chimp.
All speculation and bullshit.
Well, you know what? That's kind of it often seems like it's 80% of this game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, backyard mechanics. So, Kerri and Shane, you're off where this weekend?
We're at the Kerri's just feeding the dog. We're at Medicine Hat for the Saparol match this week.
Excellent. So that's their 2-day match?
Yep.
So this is their second match of the year, isn't it?
This is their last one of the year.
Oh, holy cow.
Yeah. They have 2, and Colton has 2. Colton over at Prairie Precision Steel, his next one, I think, is August 19th and 20th. Yeah. Okay. Kind of the end of it. Like, Cappy is throwing on a match out in BC, in Kingston, which I really want to go to. Some of our guys are, but that's the weekend right before Furlong's ELR camp, and then the King of 2 Miles. Sure. And starting a new job, I don't think they'd be okay with, hey, I need 3 weeks in September off.
Well, that hasn't stopped you before, though.
That was when
you're starting to learn a little bit in your old age, or what?
That's when I already had a job that I wasn't worried about lying.
Integrity.
Caught up with.
Too funny. All right, so you're running the 6 arc. What is Kerri running?
6 arc.
Same thing, hey?
Yeah, so is Mikey as well.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, no, they've been shooting really good. The recoil's nice. Like, Mike and I both went to our actions, the Pulse.
Yeah.
We have a custom contour barrel on, so we talked to Stacy. We have a 125 shank for 5 inches that straight tapers to 1.1, so it blends out with the tuner brakes. And then we have, I think it's a 10 groove spiral that's 30% tighter than what they generally offer. And we dropped them in the J. Allen. I'm not even joking. It's balances exactly where it's supposed to without a bunch of weight. They're running about 18 pounds. They're nice and comfortable. I've never shot. Like, I've shot McMillan forever. I like stocks over chassis.
Right.
J. Allen is the most amazing thing I've ever shot. I love it. sold his ACC Elite, and he went over to 2J Allens.
Who was that?
Mikey.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So again, he shot chassis, KRG for a long time. Then he went to MDT's a sponsored shooter, ran that ACC on multiple guns. Then he went to the ACC Elite, which is a beautiful chassis. That's what Kerri's shooting.
Sure.
But once we got his J Allen in, he ended up 6 Creed apart and swapping that one over to J Allen as well. It's
so okay. Are you guys carrying J Allen?
We're a dealer, yeah, so we can get them whenever we want. And inventory's been really good. Like the last one I ordered, I got it in 3 days. So I've got one sitting on the floor right now for a customer. We normally just try to, like, we don't keep a lot of stocks and chassis in stock because we normally order them as we need them. But we try to keep a personal gun built on nearly everything. So at least if you're going to come in and check it out, there's always one built.
Right.
An idea of what it feels like.
Okay. You guys are always also now carrying AccuTac bipods, aren't you?
Yeah, that was actually really exciting at a SHOT Show. Well, I mean, we all got little mini boners over that F-Class.
Kinda.
Front rest. It's not out yet, but we do want to get them. But man, I mean, the KDEX bipod is super nice, very, very refined. They run about 550. Okay. Those pods are cool. Don't get me wrong; they're really good for the PRS applications. But beyond that, as far as just a prone bipod, I would honestly say that the KDEX is a more stable bipod. The one thing I don't like about the KDEX is it's got like a small U bracket with a tension. So you're adjusting it. Your rifle rocks like this. It doesn't cam. So it gives it a little bit lower bore center line, but it can be very frustrating to manipulate from prone. The have a wide bridge on them, and then the legs, they're probably 20-25% wider than the KDEX is.
Okay.
They're not quite as like refined as a fit and finish, but it's got the correct.
They're more utilitarian, sort of.
But they're cheap.
Yeah.
Like that.
I like that.
Is anything from the AccuTac BR4s, which is kind of your PRS bipod, with the Arca quick detach, they're $500.
Right.
TAC 50s. So Steve's got one on Kerri's rifle. I've got one on my rifle with the ski feet. They're like $540.
Right.
And monster bipods.
When is mine coming?
Oh, we'll see. You should have come out here for a little short stroke.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, we've been waiting for those micro adjustable. Oh, Kerri says it's your birthday. I'm supposed to be nice.
Shut up. Rules are the same. Just another day.
At your age, every day is a blessing.
Oh, shit. I just like to take this opportunity to say kindly, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. So honestly, we're waiting for those micro adjustable ones. We did have to put a couple of TAC 50s from inventory onto guns, but when those micro adjustables come out, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, now that I'm shooting class, so this is one thing is we brought in Ryan Cheney. Like anybody listening, he's like one of the big ELR shooters down in the States. He makes a bag called the airfoil. So it's like a square bag, it's flat. Mine took 9 pounds of like reptile sand or aquarium sand.
Oh my God, really?
It sits and shoots real nice, and it's got like those the air bladder pump like for your arm. It's got that. You just get like small adjustments. It's cool. I've been shooting it in an F-Class, but because you've got an adjustable front rest and then you've got an adjustable rear bag, it's too many pivot points on the rifle.
Yeah.
So on the ELR stuff, our bipods are so fucking far ahead of us, we can't touch them or reach them. So once you set the height, if you need adjustment, you're doing it in your bag. And if you're trying to use one of those, like a protector bag or like a V, like a true bunny ear, like F-Class bag, they don't have any height adjustment, and it's not like they're really good for squeezing those ears together to get that little bit of height. So I think Ryan came up with a really cool product. They're not terribly expensive compared to rear bags, but it won't be allowed into high-end F-Class matches. But when you look at ELR, I'm wondering if just running a TAC 50 and an adjustable rear bag is kind of where we need to end up. I don't know how much micro adjustment we need.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just getting trashed in the comments here, you bunch of degenerates. Last question. We're coming up to an hour and a half here. What the hell was it? Oh, Alberta Rob asks, have any of you guys witnessed ELDM jackets blowing up?
So I haven't witnessed it, but that's actually one of the big threads that came up in the one of the Southern Precision Rifle Leagues here, SKAB.
Right.
I think it was Don Masong. He had the 147s. He was having part, and there was a big conversation. A bunch of top shooters here talking about.
I did read about something like that. Yeah.
So I heard of the 147s coming apart on a few guys, but not like it's a major trending thing. But
yeah,
more the inconsistencies. But again, he was shooting like a 7.5 twist. There's no way he was blowing them apart with his barrel unless he had an inclusion or damage to his rifle.
Right. I only have about 3,500 of those damn things left, so they'd better stick together. Anyway. All right, you guys. Well, it's been great talking to you. We should probably bring this to a close. For all you out there, thanks for joining in. Really appreciate the shit talk. Bunch of buggers. Anyway, if you haven't already, what's that? You cut out here.
Dude.
Say it again.
Stop talking. There's only a couple more years of you to put up with this shit left.
That's right. You know what? I'm so lucky. I don't have to see all the changes that are coming in this world. I've only got a few years left. I'm feeling really fortunate, honestly.
Yeah.
Goodbye, cruel world. All right, leave a like on our Facebook page, you bunch of assholes. Send us a really denigrating email at info@bspodcast.ca. Please no pictures of, well, really anything. We'd also like to thank all our sponsors again. These fine people on the screen here, Shane, Steve, and Kerri with EM Precision Rifles. Also Miles, Kerri, and Cappy with callsign 66, Duncan and Rob at Bolt Action Coffee, Phil Odell at Odell Engineering, Doug and Niza with March Scopes Canada, Vanya and Carly with Apex Optics, Oscar with Ribstone Gunsmithing, and J.R. Cox with the Shooting Edge. Thanks, everyone, so much. Otherwise, we'd just be fools on the internet with no watchers, no direction in life whatsoever, as I speak to you from my lonely camp room in northern Canada. God help me.
Did you bring to camp?
Did I what? Sorry?
Bring Jens to camp?
No, I can't. He's too damn big to fit in my bag, so. and grumpy.
Body pillow that smells like a German.
We're not going to touch that. Anyway, thanks guys. Thanks everybody for showing up. Take care.
Later.
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Ballistically Speaking podcast.